A pleasure to meet all at last, and here we are at it once again with some more TV shows that deserve the spotlight. So, as we've seen from time to time, I've talked a lot about most American-made shows, English-made shows, Canadian-made shows, and even an Icelandic program. Well, why don't we go on back to Japan? I've talked a bit about Dragon Ball Super. Despite it being a more recent program, lots of people have been putting on a lot of hate comments for that kind of stuff, and well, I'm glad that I am the kind of person to help clear things up and explain why Dragon Ball Super was not only essential according to the original creator of the franchise, Akira Toriyama, but also how it was basically the next big step forward for the franchise and evolutionizing. Yeah, that's going to be a word from here on out. Evolutionizing every possibility that an anime in America could have ever seen in history. Well, it was a great show and all. But it's time that we look a little different on anime and the discourse that's run about in terms of understanding it from today's perspective. And a lot of viewers might have a good idea of what direction I plan on going to. That title down below, you can't really miss it. Elfen Lied, a German-Japanese based anime which also includes American subtitles and even dubs. Much like a lot of other animes, like Spirited Away, Kiki's Delivery Service, Bobobo, and many, many others. But Elfen Lied was a whole lot different in contrast to most other animes. While a lot of animes were in fact enticed on such things like action, drama, and a lot of comedy, Elfen Lied was a whole different piece of mind. Basically, this is the story of a girl named Lucy. Lucy is in fact nothing more than the queen of a certain race, known as Diclonius. Diclonius are in fact a race that intends to wipe out humanity by any means. And every single member does it in the most gruesome and brutal ways possible. And as you probably know by now, in case any of you have even seen this anime at all, it is full of intense gore, violence, and a lot of graphic content. And it is just insane when you get down to it. But the truth is, upon closer examination, as I myself have done so, thanks to this being available on Hulu in HD nowadays, I was actually able to get a full-on appreciation of what the show itself is today. For what it is, it tells us the story of Lucy herself, the rather traumatic and horrible life that she's had ever since she was a kid. As we know, a lot like a lot of other drama-related shows, this anime actually gives us a first-hand look at what basically goes on inside of a certain foster care center. But the truth is, in this particular case, unlike what we've seen with the likes of such shows like Futurama or Batman or even the musical film from 1982 known as Annie, well, it turns out that in contrast to any of those, while they might seem a little more on the cliche side and sometimes stereotypical, Lucy is not only sidelined, singled out, and absolutely tormented by the other kids, but oh my gosh, you know, it goes above and beyond what you'd imagine. Holy crap, like, it only starts, but within a few episodes, it really is not worth a lot of time. I continue to push on though, because I just wanted to see what would happen next. Well, one day, Lucy herself comes across a puppy out there in the wild. She decides to pick him up, take her home with, and after some time passes, the boys, whom are tormenting her, actually get a hold of the dog and Okay, so what do you think happens when a bunch of boys brutally murder a dog right in front of a girl with horns on her head? Well, she retaliates. Not only that, she kills them too. All three of them. Along with another witness, whom essentially told the boys about the dog. Oh man, that is definitely what you call a death sentence. I mean, it's no wonder why all this stuff went down. I mean, you never ever betray somebody's trust. Tell a bunch of unruly boys about a certain pet in the house. Oh man. If you think that's crazy, you would not have any idea what else goes down. Let's go on with the episodes though.
Back in the day, everything seemed to be okay. But okay is just okay.
Okay. Now I feel like I've got everything under control here. As said before, it starts off with a brutal dog murder that eventually ends up in murder of everything else and everybody else inside the foster care center. Lucy herself ends up getting transferred place to place until she grows older, but is kept in a certain containment facility. She is, however, able to break free from the whole thing. Soldiers try to shoot her down, but she completely resists everything. And the whole thing about it is that the reason why all this is going down is because it's not telekinesis, believe it or not. It's basically a series of giant arms called vectors. She basically operates on certain mental frequencies. The first of which, of course, has arms that are basically invisible and also intangible, sort of like ghost arms. Frequency 2. The arms become tangible, meaning they can now touch anything and feel anything and even pick up objects, and they can basically do all kinds of crazy stuff to other people or other things, depending on what's going on with her. Third frequency, the arms turn into giant blades. They can rip and tear through everything apart. If you thought Doomslayer was epic for killing demons with chainsaws, well, don't mess with Lucy, or Kaide, as her Diclonius queen name is known as, canonically speaking. The fourth and final frequency, however, is unbelievable. Her horns are gigantic, her arms become visible, pretty much, and they can basically punch with the power of large bombs. If you thought that bomb would be destructive on its own, how about a giant arm that goes against something? It's unbelievable. The whole anime itself is basically centered on Lucy herself attempting to find peace. People not understanding her for being a totally different person, while also somehow maintaining a mission to wipe out humanity by spreading the Diclonius virus. If all this isn't just insanely scary by any means, then oh man, I haven't even mentioned the gore. Or maybe I did. Maybe just a modest level though, because again, if you really want to go through an entire anime, start to finish, that's run through the mid-2000s, well, why don't we do ourselves a favor here and just understand the fact, well, it's not for the faint of heart. This is in fact a satire, slasher, comedy, drama, and absolute nightmare of a series. Germany and Japan surely did go out of their way to attempt to give us something different amongst other anime series, but this is one of those that's definitely not for kids. I can tell you that much. We could probably say that it has been banned in some countries. That's actually the truth about it. It's certainly the truth. that it has been banned in other countries, because I don't know many people who would ever want to watch a show like this. Oh man. But you know what though? This is just one of those shows that will undoubtedly be remembered for what it is. It's one of those stories that, like Beavis and Butthead, might be one of the craziest ideas ever put to screen in history. But on closer examination, it actually does have a few moral lessons that are worth learning at some point. In this case, you have Lucy. She's trying to fit in with society, trying to maintain a goal. There's a lot of people that are out to try and stop her from what she's doing. You got a person who is basically like Dr. Jekyll in a way, who basically has Mr. Hyde deep inside him, subrooted into his consciousness. But in this case, you have a girl who has horns on her head and giant arms that come out at will. She has to try her best to maintain her sanity, and also to keep herself in good control and in good health. If she's hoping to find friends, then it's certainly not gonna be easy. Not for someone who's different than most. And to tell you the truth, to have somebody who has horns on their head is a different outlook, even by my own standards. But as I basically learned, when it comes to people whom are shorter, disabled, and possibly affected pretty badly by things like radiation or poisons, well, having good health and good minds can be very helpful in real life. And I sure hope that many people out there whom are watching this can certainly get a good taste of how real life can sometimes be rather traumatic. But nevertheless, abiding by your own good nature can not only help others, but yourself as well. Well, I feel like that just covers this whole piece. Such an insane show. But yet, the fact that it exists and tells us a story of some kind at all enough is good enough for at least one viewing. Maybe I might look at it again and give it closer details. But if you want to see more, go down to my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me wherever you can find me, and stay on the Hollywood side.